Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, February 25th, Richmond School Board Budget Work Session to order. Madam Clerk.
The board members who are present, please respond. Ms. Lord? Yes. Mr. Barlow? Yes. Ms. Gibson? Yes. Mr. Young?
Here.
Ms. Cosby? Ms. Burke? Here. Ms. Owen? I'm sorry, yes. Dr. Sapini? Yes. Ms. Page?
Here.
We have a form, Madam Chair.
Before we get, I'm sorry, Ms.
No
Hernandez.
apology necessary. Si alguien necesita intérprete esta tarde, por favor avísenos. If anyone needs an interpreter for the school board session, please let us know.
Gracias. Tonight, before we get started, I'd just like to thank the public for bearing with us and engaging in this process during our budget cycle. We would like to recognize or to note that this is our 8th budget work session, as well as we've had our budget presentation started on January 22nd, and from there, we've had, like I said, 8 work sessions, and we've had public hearings, and we just want to appreciate the public for providing input regarding this process. So, upon the conclusion of our budget work session tonight, we will submit our approved budget to the mayor so that he can make his presentation on the 6th of March, and then he will making that presentation before City Council on the 11th of March. And at that time, the real work of this process will start. Because by then, we should have some definitive numbers from the city as well as the state as we continue to make decisions that are in the best interest of our children. Again, the real work will start before we adopt the budget in June. So again, I would just like to thank each and everyone for attending the multiple work sessions that we have had, as well as the public hearings. So at this time, the next item, Madam Clerk.
The next item is public information, and you have one person signed up and to speak this evening. What is your pleasure, Madam Chair?
Allow that person to come forward at this time. And if we have other individuals in the audience that would like to speak at this time, please line up at this time, sign in, and state your name. If you're speaking as an individual, you have 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of an organization, you have 5 minutes.
Ma'am, before you sign in, the person who has signed up speaks first. Mr. Winberg?
Yes.
And if there are other speakers, other than Mr. Winberg, please line up. You may begin.
Okay. Hi, my name is Mark Wimberg. I'm an instructional resource, instructional technology resource teacher. This is my 12th year as an RPS ITRT and my 22nd year as a public school educator. Prior to the school year, I've been an ITRT at George Mason Elementary, G.H. Reed Elementary, lived in Holcomb Elementary. This year I'm an ITRT at Franklin Military Academy and Thomas Jefferson High School. I recently began to wonder if the board is familiar with what ITRTs do. I've never talked to any of the board, so I don't know. ITRTs are supposed to spend the majority of our time helping teachers integrate technology into their instruction. We end up doing many other things in addition to that, but that's what you do when you're part of a team, and you know that all of the things that you will do will ultimately serve the teachers and students in the buildings where you work. For many teachers, integrating technology into instruction is perceived as an extra burden, one they don't have the time or energy to pursue. If, however, we want RPS students to develop 21st century skills, technology integration is critical. ITRTs, all of whom are former classroom teachers, play a vital role by persuading, training, and supporting teachers in any way we can. In addition to the day-to-day training and support that we provide, ITRTs have been instrumental in many important initiatives during the past decade. Each year, ITRTs are deployed as technical support for all kinds of tasks, including standardized testing. When RPS moved from the previous student information system to Aspen, we were tasked with training administrators, office staff, and teachers on how to use it. When Google Drive was finally made available to all RPS staff, ITRTs led the effort to make sure that everyone knew how to use the new tools at their disposal. Last year, when VDOE changed the rules in the middle of the game and made it necessary for more than 400 RPS teachers to complete the technology certification they thought they'd already satisfied, ITRTs created an online course in a matter of weeks that allowed those teachers to get what they needed to renew their licenses and keep their jobs. About 6 years ago, I, in conjunction with a colleague who has since retired, was tasked with designing and building a website to house technology integration and curriculum resources. That site, which I continue to maintain along with my colleague, Carly Wood, became rpstech.org, the current repository for RPS curriculum resources, including lesson plans, pacing charts, blueprints, and more. Finally, I would like to address the way the issue of job cuts has been handled at this point. It's understandable that the administration and the board can't comment publicly on which positions have been targeted for elimination or reclassification. I don't know for a fact that my job has been targeted for elimination or reclassification, and that doesn't seem reasonable to me or to others that I've spoken with. If my job is going to be affected, I should at least be made aware that there could be significant changes ahead. Defendants recruiters and their livelihood couldn't be approached privately on an individual level and given some idea that it's time to look for another job. There's no way to treat people who have given years of their lives to serving the RPS family. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
they can come on board and say, this is what it's gotta be. I see about overtime. I think that needs to be addressed. I see, even if I look at payday, every minute I have overtime in a pay period. Yeah. What's happening? Who's watching that? Who's checking it? When you go out to check the policies out there, I think you want to see that. I went on to the city's website. I also went and checked the city's website. Their websites and their policies are detailed and very explicit what they're going to have. All of that. They're vague and random and you can't follow it. We do most of our policies or procedures on how to do it is basically by internal policies as opposed to actual policies. So we can back up and stay behind. It's just an internal process. That's just not good business. I think that we need to look down into this budget. There's a lot of little costs. They seem little at the time, but they add up quick.
Quickly, really quickly. I think that we need to look more at mimicking something like Chesterfield because they are really our next district. Hanover is a very small district. It has nothing in common with RPS. We need to look at a district that's similar to ours. I applaud our new administration for their dreams for RPS. However, at some point, someone must bring the dreamers back to urban reality. It takes more than educators to run schools. RPS is also a business, and the wants and needs of a few should not affect all the employees. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. Don't alienate the villagers for your own agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Mock. I'm a civics and economics teacher at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. I'm speaking tonight for the Richmond Education Association, their vice president. First off, the REA would like to thank Mr. Campbell for attending the latest rep meeting. That means a lot to our members when they can answer or ask questions and have them answered. And we're looking forward to continuing that dialogue. We're also pleased with this budget plan step increase and raise. Our staff shortage will never be solved until we pay our staff for their work. That being said, we're disheartened with what we view as the lack of transparency in this budget process. To echo a previous speaker's sentiments, it is unacceptable that we do not know those positions as we approach the time to consider their being terminated. Central office and or facilities, where they're coming from. REA would like to see or would ask that there's an organized chart or map of RPS for us to view or for anyone to view. I think that's important in terms of making these decisions. Transparency is what I would like to echo right there. If we have to find out about these things without being able to have a conversation, it doesn't bode well, I think, for what we can accomplish. Particularly in terms of finding out about a possible Teach for America expansion, I know was something that was mentioned, so I was wondering if that is something that maybe you could put y'all's ears about talking to us about that. But moving forward, please let us know, because just to echo what I said, these are our members' livelihoods. We want to be a part of making RPS the premier school district that it should be. And we're hopeful that we can with open communication and dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you for this opportunity to continue the discussion that we for tonight. I'm here on behalf, my name is Velma Seymour, and I'm here on behalf of the Richmond Region, sorry. So, the reason that I'm here is to kind of reiterate the urgency to consider internet access for our children and the access when we talked about for the each graduate and having equal access. Unfortunately, it can never be equal unless everybody has the same starting point, and that is access to technology at home for research or for whatever, and for parents to learn how to navigate the RPS system. And also Chromebooks would be nice. If not Chromebooks, some type of tool for the kids to be able to stay on point instead of constantly being playing catch up because they don't have it at home, access at home. They don't have transportation to the library, or parents just don't know when whatever is coming up. They can't stay abreast of the changes that are going on. So please consider adding that internet access or technology if it's not on there. And if it is, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your hard work on the budget. It's like the Peterson being famous picture of like vision and reality, and you have to kind of figure out how to do both. So I do appreciate the complexity with which you have had to work. After every document has made every argument, you all probably have your minds made up. But what I would like to offer is an invitation to see some of the things that I see at the Math Science Innovation Center. I am Dr. Holly Freeman, Director of the Math Science Innovation Center. And just this morning, I was like, well, okay, so what else is there to say? I was looking out my window, I saw a group of school kids looking at our solar panel and anemometer and the wind turbine. Today was a bright sunny day, so everything was firing on all cylinders. I didn't know it, but those students were from Mary Mumford, and they were having the best discussion, although I could not hear it because I was inside working on the grant. They were having the best discussion, it seemed, outside with all of these resources. And then my phone rang. I picked up the phone. This is a story. I'm going to tell you all a story. I picked the phone, and it was a grandmother. She said, Dr. Freeman, can you help me? I looked online. My niece, my friend of the niece called, and the Math Science Innovation Center can help you. She said, I'm a grandmother. I'm 66. I'm on a fixed income, and I'm raising my grandson. And I've been raising him since he was 3 years old because his mother had a problem. That's how she said it. And I heard that students would come over there and get learning. She said, get learning and have some fun. I don't have any money. Can you help me? And I'm looking at the students from Mary Mumford out the window, and I'm talking to the grandmother on the phone. I said, I can help you. And the reason why I can help you is because the doors are open. And I said, you know what? Your grandson can come over here with the other middle school students and make a hovercraft and glide across the auditorium. Do you know how that's going to change his life to make a hovercraft? I sat on a hovercraft and went across the auditorium and changed my life. Can you imagine a sixth grader making their own hovercraft from scratch? Use all the math and physics they can muster and glide across the auditorium. That's going to change his life. His life doesn't have to end the way the grandmother thinks it's going to end. And I can help her because the doors are open. Come to Math Science Center. See the students from Mary Mumford looking at the solar panel and an anemometer and its wind turbine. Talk to the grandmother whose grandson's going to be there on a hovercraft. And if I can manage it, he's going to be there for the whole camp. The whole camp. That's a life changer. It's a life changer. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. As long as those doors are open, I'm going to do it. Make up your minds, do what you need to do. I'm going to do it.
Thank you.
name is Tom Hartman. I'm speaking as an individual this evening. I stand here to support what Bradley Locke said on behalf of REA. My particular passion, I suppose, about many things is transparency. I get that this board and this superintendent are committed to transparency. I believe that firmly. I perceive that. And yet that's somehow not getting through to people. So I just request more discussion about the parameters and limits and possibilities of transparency so that we can get away from this perennial issue of lack of trust.
Thank you. Seeing that we have no other speakers to come forward at this time. No. So do we have any other speakers?
Yes.
Yes. If you would like to speak, please come forward at this time. Do we have any other members in the audience that would like to speak at this time?
I'm Robin Dickerson. I'm a member of the 7th District of Richmond. I have strong concerns about how this budget process is being postponed. This is not corporate America. This is the public school system. We should not be cutting to the bone to any entity in this government to educate our children. Our children deserve as much as possible possible to fund this school to the system to the fullest. Right now, we're bordering on a civil rights issue here, okay? We are setting a precedent by not going to the city council and the mayor and the state to not fully fund Richmond Public Schools. Cutting these jobs, cutting money out of the system, and not taking a fully funded budget to city council is really a civil rights issue. And what we are doing are setting our children and this school system up for failure. Now, I don't know where you think that any school system can run with half the people or whatever in administration that they had before. You have got to have the human resources as well as the financial resources to keep a system moving and moving forward. Now, you can go back and say, well, this was a one-time deal, this money was something left over, this and that. You can say whatever you want, but to put a budget out does not say that that was the situation.
30 seconds.
You can put a budget to the city council and to the mayor that will fund our schools. Whether they reject it or not, it's for them to do. But you must fund our school system like it should be funded. We have, for over the years, in the city of Richmond, back to the 70s when I was a child in school, have been cutting, and we never get that money back.
Time.
So it's a management issue, not a financial issue too.
Thank you.
Charlotte Hare. I am currently serving on the RA Board of Directors. I am the immediate past president, and I am an NEA director for the state of Virginia for the National Education Association. I stand tonight because I had tried my very best not to come back down here. After coming down every night for 4 years plus and speaking to you, I thought I would give you a rest. But tonight I had to break my silence. I came to this board some time ago and I indicated to you that if you decided to continue to give up your power and not to do your job, then you would no longer have that. So what I'm saying to you is this: you need to do your job. We have had administration after administration come in, wipe everything out, start all over again, change this, take out that, put this in. We never see how long anything's going to work, if it's going to work, or how it's going to work. We've had people cut to the bone, we've had people riff, we've had people added in. We've done all this, been down this road before. Everybody sitting here had complaints about the people who sat here before you and did that very same thing. So you need to do some remembering about who you were elected to represent, what your job is. Can you afford to do what you're going to do? Have you come up with what you need to do as a board? Everybody who's been before me has mentioned transparency. Have you seen a reorganization chart that cuts out these people that are supposed to be let go? Do we even know what they really are? In one place it says facilities. Another place is people downtown. So who are they? What do they do? Are they really critical to what we do as a school system? I'm not saying anything bad against anybody. I'm just saying you all were sent here to do a job. And trust me, the members of REA are not real happy right about now. And November is coming. November is coming. So I understand fully that the superintendent is going to propose a budget, but once you take a vote, it's your budget. So my question is can you stand toe-to-toe and fight? Because guess what? I'm tired of going to city council and begging and pleading for more money. I really am. I'm real good at it. I'm tired of going to General Assembly, begging and pleading for more money. So what are you going to do as a school board? I work with these children every single day, and I know they deserve better than what they're getting. My school gets cut on every single term. Oh, they don't need it over there. That's a bunch of malarkey. It's a bunch of malarkey. So I tell you tonight, you need to think about how you got here, what you were elected to do, and are you really going to be the change agents that you told the public and the children that you said you were going to be for education? If you know what's happened in the past, why are you going down the same road? When all of you said that's not what you wanted. You wanted to be something different. So what I'm challenging you to is be something different. Be something that our children can be proud of. I'm teaching them to take a stand every day, so why don't you demonstrate how to do that for me? Let them know that somebody else is fighting for them other than the teachers in the classroom. Did I become a teacher to beg and plead for money? Nope. But guess what? I've gotten real good at it. But it doesn't mean anything when the people who sit where you're sitting isn't doing the same thing that I'm doing on every hand. And I'm doing it on a national level now. And I can talk the talk and preach all I want to preach. But if the people sitting where you are don't do what you were hired, and you were hired to do this, because you got elected, then it's on you. And you need to remember that. Have all your questions been answered? Can you really get behind this? Do you see something different? Because remember, you hire all of us. Not just me. All of us. So have you done what you should have done with the gift that you've been given? Are you going to do what needs to be done from this point on? Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our public information period. Next item.
The next item is to receive for action the superintendent's Will I entertain estimated needs in the 2019-2023 CIP budgets?
Good evening. I just wanted to thank everybody who has participated in this process this evening and over the last several weeks as we have worked through this budget season. As we have discussed, this is the beginning, not the end of that process. And I want to acknowledge the difficulty that we have faced and the tough choices that we have had to make. And I want to reiterate, it is certainly with a heavy heart that I put forward these cuts to the central office. And want to make clear that it is in no way a reflection on the hard work that folks in this building and in other parts of the central office do every day to support schools. But I do believe that this budget is the right one for us right now, that it achieves the goals that I laid out for the board at the beginning of this process, to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible and to make sure that we fully fund the teacher raise and the next year of our strategic plan Dreams for RPS. So I do want to remind everybody that as part of this budget, we are asking the city for an additional $18 million of recurring revenue. That will go to the things that our community said that they wanted and that we enshrined in our strategic plan, which was unanimously approved by this board. But assuming approval tonight, I want to say that it is now up to the city. If this board approves this budget tonight, then it is up to the city to put every option on the table to ensure that the pie of resources for RPS gets larger. And I know that won't be easy to do, but I think that is going to be necessary to ensure that we're able to make those dreams become a reality. Thank you.
So at this time, the board members, if you have additional questions, items that you, discussions that you'd like to bring forward at this time?
I apologize, I have one more note that I wanted to share. The administration is prepared to share all of the proposed cuts no later than April 1st, which would give us time to prepare appropriately to make those cuts public, which would also provide employees with 3 months from the time of notification until the end of the contract. And so I had heard that some individuals were under the impression that I was going to keep those, or going to attempt to keep them private until May or June, but that is certainly not the case. So I wanted to make sure that was clear as well.
Are there any questions at this time? Ms. Cosby?
Thank you. Okay, I'm a bit confused because per the director, I know, I think, but I know I sent information in the type of format that would be good to go through these potential cuts and, or not just the potential cuts, but also the additions and an opportunity for them to say yes or no, or if there's some type of adjustment. So if that's, was something since I heard, or you said that was not, you couldn't do it that way?
You asking a question?
Yeah, yes.
No. There was no response that it could not be accomplished.
Okay. All right, so my question is this.
If I may I, so through this series of work sessions, we have done precisely that, which is to go through each section line by line about what is being cut and what is being added, and at the final session, we'll prepare a compendium of all of those matters. And so it's the administration's perspective that, in fact, that is what we did view, and that provided that for the board to reflect upon and ask questions about for a significant period of time.
Ms. Gibson?
Thank you. I want to let the audience know that I'm sorry that we haven't been able to have the discussion that we should be able to have. On Friday, I received access to a document that goes through that's our budget. It's a 228-page document. You, as the public, only have access to a document that has 31 pages. The explanation is that there is personnel information on those pages. And this is frustrating for me because, see, when we're in closed session, we are encouraged that when we're having the discussion, we're reminded by our counsel, make sure you use people's names. Because that's the law, right? In order for us to be in closed session, we have to be talking about personnel issues, and generally it has to do with job performance. I can assure you that on the 197 pages that is in the budget document that I have access to, that's above and beyond what you have access to, there is not a single name, not a single job title on those pages. So the conversation that we're going to have is going to be limited. I can only tell you that I have done my darndest to make as much of that information public as I can. I have done my best. I've asked for a summary. So just as my colleague, Ms. Cosby, has noted, what's missing from the document that you have is essentially a recap, right? So I don't think it's okay that you're going to have to go back to the Monday meeting and then the meeting on the 12th and dig through, but to be able to determine what it is we're actually voting for. The way that the vote works is someone on the board will say, I motion to approve the budget as presented. I'm not doing that, by the way, right now. I'm just letting you know how it works. And so right now, the way it's presented, we don't know. We don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what the job cuts are anymore. I was shown job cuts in a closed session and then asked to hand them back in. So I don't have a list to go back and say, this is what we agreed to as a board. I don't have it. So I don't know what we are voting on. I know what the line items are in this new document. I've done my best to try to reconcile between the two. There are some discrepancies. In all of the meetings that we've had over the past 8 weeks, we have not had a single conversation about healthcare. As it turns out, in the document that I saw this weekend, our healthcare costs have gone significantly down. This would be a great conversation to have. What do we do with that? Because I know that we have decided as a board to make teacher retention important. And we all know at least one teacher who is leaving the district because of the health insurance that we offer. The out-of-pocket maximum is $12,000. So you have a surgery and you're hit hard. This is a conversation we should have been having this whole time. But we could not with the information that we've been given. I spoke to a former person who was on the school board before me. She talked about the binders. I didn't get that binder. We've received documents that didn't have actuals, so I see cuts. I don't know how much we actually spent. So I have concerns, and there are, as I've gone through, I'm happy to discuss those things, which were flagged, which I flagged. But ultimately, what my thoughts to this board is, I don't know what we are voting for, and this is of grave concern to me. And I recognize that, yes, I will likely not support this document, but I still want to know what it is that others will be supporting this evening. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Mr. Barlow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is one of the most challenging positions we've found ourselves in as a board and as a school district since we've been here. The administration has been very forthcoming, in my opinion, about the decisions that we're making. We certainly have received a lot of documentation, as we always do when we go through this process. And it hasn't been a perfect process. I agree with that. I think that we've learned more from this situation. I think we have learned that we can be more effective communicators with the public. And I think part of what I find challenging about this position is also how we got here. And I know that as a board, we made a very difficult decision last year to fund certain priorities that we didn't receive recurring funds to fund. And we've been going to the city, feels like again and again, and asking to fund our priorities. We've been advocating at the state level and asking to fund our priorities. And we made some tough decisions last year because we funded some very important priorities. We made sure that many of our students, many of our Latino students on the south side were getting additional supports. We made sure that our teachers received raises. And I want to continue those efforts. I want to continue to do what we can to support our students. And I think in order to do that, sometimes we have to make tough decisions. I still think that we have a long way to go before we approve a final budget. I think we need to continue to ask our questions. We need to continue to get feedback. We need to be in a position where we can adjust priorities if we need to, because this is a very early stage moment for us. But at the same time, I understand why we are making the decision to tighten the belt. We need to be able to show to the city that we are willing to make tough decisions and that they should be willing to make tough decisions too, and that we shouldn't settle for these one-time fund approaches or minimal increases that are sold to the public as if they're large windfalls. And my hope is that we keep that in mind as we continue to go through this process. And that we do not view this right now as our final budget, and that we go back and we take a look as we continue to move through this process and determine that certain priorities need to be changed.
Mr. Young?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very concise. I referenced this the other evening, but I'll say it again. It's the first time in 3 years that I'm going to vote affirmative for a budget. And I don't think I'll surprise anybody in the room when I share it's because of the cuts. I campaigned and would like to think one of the reasons that I earned support of so many of my neighbors was because I pledged to take an axe to downtown. This budget does not do that. It is a step in the right direction as it relates to my philosophical approach to prioritizing funding and putting more dollars in the classroom.
Dr. Sapini?
This is difficult. Similar to Ms. Gibson. I'm very much confused and concerned. Because while everyone can say, yes, sometimes we need cuts, sometimes. Not all the time. But when you're cutting, you want to know exactly what you're cutting and why not. And I don't think we've had the discussion of that topic because when we did ask, or I asked before, was this an all or none situation where everything that was supposed to be cut, you have to vote it? Everything, or can some of those things come off the list? Can anyone tell me if we had that conversation? I don't recall that. But we didn't have the opportunity. As I mentioned in the last meeting that I could not support this budget, and I still cannot support this budget. Trying to review that 228-page document in between cough sessions and deal with four of my children that have been sick. It was challenging. And I did notice certain things in there that just didn't make sense. Things that I felt there's no way that it cannot affect the classroom. So I wanted to ask those questions. Will we have an opportunity to talk about that? Is there a closed session to talk about it? Or we just gonna have this meeting, vote yes or no, and that's it? I don't know. So right now, my answer is no.
One question I had is if we could just confirm the total number of full-time equivalents that have been added to the budget that's reflected in the document, and then the total number of full-time equivalents that have been recommended for elimination.
While they're working on that, does anyone else have any other comments or questions?
I just have to go back to my initial query, because I thought that we voted on, not just to land, but having a budget work session. On that, what we'd like to see, so that we can have true discussion. opportunity to make adjustments. It doesn't feel like an opportunity to make adjustments.
Thanks. Addressing the question about how many cuts and how many heads there were 74 cuts, 25 heads.
So, I just want to note that that number is different than numbers we've received. So in the meeting on the budget, having to do the documents, which is part of my beat, it noted 49 positions. And I'm sure that everyone in central office knows that because they looked at that document.
I think you said that's the net. 49 is the net.
Yes, in fact, I made that quite clear at our fourth budget work session. I'm glad to go back and look at the tape. Clearly indicated, and it says it in writing as well, that there would be, that was the net. And this is something which, without divulging anything privileged, that we have clearly discussed in the closed session.
So on
Ms. Gibson?
Yeah, so in the 228-page document, it clearly notes that the number of FTEs for the strategic plan is 48.
So Ms. Gibson, what is the question?
I'm wondering why this document has noted that there are 40 new positions that are being added to the strategic plan, as opposed to the 25 positions I believe that you just noted. This is noted on page 142 of the 228-page document. And this is not, private information, so.
Which page are you referencing?
I'm on page 142.
This is a mix of central office and school-based ads, so it's not just the central office that we're talking about.
Okay. So in the document, it says district-wide, but it's not actually district-wide?
It is district-wide, it's school-based, and it's central office ad positions here.
I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions? Mrs. Simmons, can you, answer the question about position, object code, and in regards to every position matches object code and so happy.
Yeah, every line in our budget is tied to an account, it's tied to core code, object code, line code. That's every single person in our position. So in putting together this budget is pulling directly from our accounting codes. Just to say that these numbers aren't made up, this is in fact what we have at RPS.
Thank you. Ms. Cosby?
I just want some clarification. Are we gonna be able to go into closed, talk about personnel or no? Or we just go?
If there are questions regarding personnel issues that are related to the budget, yes. Ms. Dorr?
I personally feel like I've had my questions answered, so I'd like to vote. That's my preference.
So we need a motion?
If anyone has questions about personnel issues, I think we should go closed.
Ms. Vaughn?
I move that we accept the superintendent's FY19 estimate of needs in the 2019-2022 CF budget.
Approved.
Approved.
It's been moved by Ms. Owen and seconded by Ms. Burke to approve the superintendent's funding year 19 estimate of needs and the 2019-2023 CIP budget. Any discussion? Ms. Barlow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we should go into closed session.
So is a motion on the floor to approve the budget, the superintendent's estimate of needs? Any discussion? Mr. Young?
Madam Chair, I just had a sidebar conversation over here at the risk of saying, publicly, but I said privately, I don't mind saying it. I don't have any reservation about additional conversation related to personnel cuts. I just happen to think that, I think I'm on the record many times saying that, I just happen to think that conversation should be an open rather than public. Or excuse me, it should be in public rather than in private or closed.
Ms. Cosby?
So I would just say again, I just feel as if we are, I really wish this had been a true budget work session. And I hear exactly what everyone, well, what the administration has said about, yes, we had opportunity. I didn't feel as if the process felt to me, we're presenting information. At no time I felt were we able to really, and all of us really work through it in terms of prioritizing. And it wasn't presented in such a way for that type of opportunity. And so, I mean, when you're talking about a $50 million cut, and I've said it again, it's extreme, I mean, I've said it before, that's significant. And it's significant because we were in a recession. There was no other way. We haven't, and I mean, there's all this talk about cutting from central office and lifting back in the classroom. We haven't even used the word repurpose. When did we use that? We're gonna repurpose these dollars. We're gonna make sure they go back into the classroom. We're gonna add new teachers. We're gonna add new supports. We haven't even had that discussion about things that can be repurposed to make sure we keep up the classroom. You know, we are cutting, and we're not even having a deep dive into how we're gonna make sure that our young people get the same level of services and more and beyond. We are in a 10-year memorandum of understanding, a 10 years. And yes, I've said this before, yes, you can have greater efficiencies, absolutely, let's look for that. But do we cut ourselves so that we cannot even move forward quickly? I'm sorry, we can't wait 10 years to get out of this movie, we can't. And we're gonna need resources to do it. And this is not just about cutting things that are inefficient. It's also looking at how, somebody said it before, how we manage. It's also working a strategy. And being very smart about that. So I am extremely frustrated with this process. It's disingenuous. It is not, this is not furthering what we want to do for the school system and for our young people. And we always throw around this word equity, equity, equity. This does not feel like an equitable process that is promoting equity in our school division.
Ms. Gibson?
And I also just want to reassert once again that we've been told by third parties again and again, and it makes me question why we do these audits if we're not going to take heed to those findings. It was said to us in 2016 that our central office cuts were on par. It was said to us just recently that our central office cuts are on par. So I don't think we need to send a message that we're doing what we need to do. Someone already sent it that said, we're good. I have significant concerns. This is the first vote that we've done where I am worried that we are making decisions that is irreparable damage. The idea, I mean, I hope, as we, I've heard that there's still time to work on this. I hope that is true, and I will continue to push. But it seems pretty unlikely, given the current situation. I have other questions. I've seen some line items that are school related that include cuts to materials and supplies. I wanted to get some more information about that, but to be frank, it doesn't sound like that now is the time to have a conversation. So I'm prepared to move forward and vote.
Any other, there are no other comments. Just want to reiterate, this process is hard. It's always been a hard process to go through. But as we have stated, this is the first phase of this budget process. The mayor presents his budget to to city council on the 11th of March. And then once we receive the real numbers, that's when the real work, begins. There will be opportunities to make adjustments if needed before we adopt the budget in June. Mr. Crosby?
Very quickly, it needs to be noted that this process, the reason why we're spending 2 weeks, and that it's been done traditionally, this stage sets the tone. There is
Call the question.
The motion was made by Ms. Owen and seconded by Ms. Burke to approve, and I just need to make a correction, it should be the FY 20 estimate of needs and the 2019-2023 CIP budgets. Mr. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
No.
Mr. Young? Ms. Cosby?
No.
Mrs. Burke? Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Dr. Sapini?
No.
Mrs. Page?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-3.
This work session is now adjourned.